क्रीडमग्नो नमो वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुनाथ श्रीजीव गोपाल.
Good morning, good day, good evening from Canada.
Haribol, Prabhu.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, very lovely. Very
Thank
clear.
you. Good to see everybody assembling, the assembly of devotees globally. And thank you, everyone, for being committed to Krishna conscious practice. Because there's a saying, as we all know, practice makes perfect. Without practice, one is imitating or trying to become. But through proper practice, you learn how to become the devotee of Krishna. And Prabhupada explains that the basis, nasta prayeshu abradeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shlokayer bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in these classes, all that's inauspicious within the heart becomes destroyed almost to nil. Yes, there's so many contaminations that affect, there are layers of contamination that cover the conditioned soul. But as we gradually make advancement in Krishna consciousness, we begin to see things as they are, and it becomes blissful or joyful. We may not be very advanced, but through that process of hearing and chanting, we begin to see what is reality as opposed to illusion. For example, when I go out every day on the street to chant my japa in my neighborhood here, gradually I begin to realize how conditioned the living entities are. And they're wandering in the streets, not really aimlessly, but with specific purpose. A lot of women walking their babies. And they're very happy. They're very proud of their children, even though they've only been with them, in some cases, only a few months. It's interesting to note that when they look at the child, it's like they've been with them forever. It's completely captivated by this attachment to their offspring, completely attached and conditioned by it. So their whole world revolves in a small universe of husband, baby carriage, baby, and doggy. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, everyone has a nice dog, and Prabhupada always taught us to, instead of worshiping DOG, we should concentrate on worshiping God, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Bhagavad Gita class this morning is the essence of the teachings of Krishna consciousness. It's the summary study of our philosophy, and it gives us a very deep insight into the purpose of human life, coming directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, and handed down in disciplic succession. Disciplic succession. It's not that it's just been whimsically passed down through the ages without any caution. Some people are very frivolous when it comes to disciplic succession and its understanding. And we're very fortunate as devotees, Bhaktivedanta Singh in Sacramento, and Ram Raghava and Unis traveling probably or cooking in the kitchen. Madhu Brata in Montreal, like that. Bhakta Roy in New Vrindavan. All you wonderful people that are joining us on a weekly basis. This process of Krishna consciousness has to be carefully received from a bona fide spiritual master who is self-realized. That is the opportunity that we have, and we do present in our classes, which makes us unique, very unique amongst all the programs that are flooding the social media world, that we protect the legacy of Srila Prabhupada in that we read only from his original unadulterated books. We're very, very cautious with that. And we do read thoroughly through them. And later in the program here, you'll see how, for the new attendees, you'll see how our speaker, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in California, he reads meticulously through each Sanskrit word, the transliteration, the translation, and the purport, so that we get a thorough understanding of Prabhupada's message without any adulteration. This is important, very important point, and something you can celebrate by picking this program as part of your regular weekly sadhana. And along with that, we do request you to follow the principles and chant your rounds, 16 rounds, to get the maximum benefit from this process. And lastly, before we go forward and look at some of Prabhupada's writings in his diary, please share this information, this opportunity with people that you know that are serious about taking up spiritual life and getting out of this entanglement of material existence, which is very troublesome for the conditioned soul. It is. It's not a place. Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika, Adi Atmaka. These three miseries, threefold miseries, there's actually sevenfold miseries, but these threefold miseries are constantly attacking us, and the only solution to them is Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada came from the India to the Western world to deliver this knowledge to us by his divine mercy. And let's go to the diaries. We're starting in again. I'm sorry for that noise. The Jaladuta diary. Look at that boat. Yeah. Amazing. I always remind us that I did meet Sumati Maraji in Bombay. She picked me out of the crowd. I was with Prabhupada in front of the gates where they were building the Bombay temple. It was still under construction. And for some reason or other, she picked me to come visit her at her mansion at Juhu Beach. And she was more or less interviewing me to see what kind of devotees Prabhupada was making and how we were being trained up. So Vinkat Bhatta, please bring up the pages for the, yes, thank you. So remember, this was a diary that Prabhupada took from their company and started to use it as he was preparing to move forward to America. So this first page on which Srila Prabhupada makes this is the first page on which Srila Prabhupada makes a written entry. We have so the editors here, we have omitted those pages in which there are no entries. That's fair. And then we go down to April 3rd. It's a Saturday. Saw the Andheri residence good. Set kept with Nargaranjan, and one set kept with Acharya. So these are his books that he's still in India, of course, here, And you can see he's undertaken to book distribution as his main mission. And on Monday, the 5th of April, to inquire of Mafatlal, C. Sydenham Theosophical, the charity offices, Wilson College, Vidya Bhavan, Mr. Dastur, and Matunga colleges. So he's targeting these places of education to bring Krishna consciousness to them. Tuesday, the 6th of April, Madan Sophia Wadia, New Marine Lines, Theosophical Hall, purchased 1 times 3 copies paid, check for rupees 48. 48 rupees. So active, very active, book distribution. This is way before he'd been on the boat or he took up the mission in America. This is him on his own. On April 8th, that's Thursday, at 12 noon at Sri Paramanta's house for dining. So he's been invited out for for lunch. And then Friday the 9th at 8:30 to 9 a.m., Sri R.V. Murti, number 5 Ratan Lodge behind Aurora Cinema, King's Circle at 1:30 to 2 p.m. appointment. Sri T.K. Sesdadi, news editor, Economic Times, Times of India, VT. Wow. Very progressive here. It's just, it makes me think, what are our schedules on our calendars, Vijaya Murti? What are they? Is it like this? On Sunday, okay, here we have at 9 a.m., this is April 11th, there's an invitation at Malad Laka Shankar's house. So he's out, he's preaching, he's meeting people. Monday the 12th, to see Gandhi Somaya International, Wilson Colonel Gulabjan Kapadia. And I think we've got a couple of more pages here. April 13th, okay. To see the Father Principal, 10 to 11 at St. Xavier. So again, at the school, preaching to the principal of the school, giving them insights in Krishna consciousness. And on Thursday, to see Gandhi's secretary at 11 to 1 p.m. So super progressive preaching and effort by Srila Prabhupada in April of 1965. Very interesting. We'll move forward now with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava by Srila Prabhupada. Please chant along with us. And after, we'll enter into the pastimes of Lord Krishna with Arjuna, with the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is reading, with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in Twain Harte, California. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Kunja
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर बन जाती जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर बन जाती यमुना तीर बन जाती जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय पुष्पात् परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य सत्र सदस्य मौल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय रामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असमर ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असमर ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असमर थैंक यू वेरी मच
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality, the Son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayana. 2. To the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being. 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Then 4. To Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion, this class as it's sometimes called, on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. We are reading from the original, non-edited, non-adulterated, non-interpolated Macmillan edition, the 1972 original edition. All synonyms, translations, purports, and commentaries by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Before we read the text, I just want to make a brief announcement that tomorrow in the United States, they will be changing the time. The class will be 1 hour earlier. I don't know in whatever jurisdiction or geographical area you are, if they change the time. Here in the United States, they still have this habit of adjusting the time twice a year. So at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, November 5th, California time, the time will go back 1 hour. So please make a notice of this, all of you who will attend the readings and discussion. So we will proceed with the discussion. Today we are reading from chapter 10, text number 3. Yo mamajam manadim cha vetti loka maheshwaram asammuddha samartyeshu sarva pape pramuchyati. Yah, anyone, mam, unto me, ajam, unborn, anadim, without beginning, cha, also, vetti, knows, loka, the planets, maheshwaram, supreme master, asammuddha, without doubt, sa, he, martyeshu, among those subject to death, sarva pape, from all sinful reactions, pramuchyati, is delivered. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all of the worlds, he, undiluted among men, is freed from all sins. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the 7th chapter, those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reactions. Here the word ajam, meaning unborn, should not be confused with the living entities, who are described in the 2nd chapter as ajam. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditional souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the 4th chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the spiritual superior energy. He was existing before the creation, and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world. But as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he's the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all the other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets. Sri Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created. And anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can he be known, and not by any other means, as stated in Bhagavad-gītā. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Krishna is known as the son of Devaki, then how can he be unborn? That is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form, and then he transformed himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by the material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material mask is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our next page. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master, saintly persons in scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious or impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation, and this is called sannyasa. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of the sannyasi or a pseudo-yogi. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshuranmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes, who has opened our eyes from the darkness which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, who is very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let me offer my obeisances unto my Guru Maharaj, who is a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is always calm and joyful, and who bears the name Bhaktivedanta. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataha. Worship of the Supreme Lord is naturally very sweet, just like milk is originally sweet. Just as milk becomes sweeter by adding a little sugar, in the same way, worship of the Supreme Lord becomes sweeter by first worshiping the bona fide Guru. Adadana strinandanter idam yache punaha punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly beg to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Srimad Rupa Goswami, birth after birth. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami very nicely explains that Bhadra Bhadra Sakali Mano Dharma, that in the material world, the concept of auspicious and inauspicious, or good and bad, this is all mental speculation, manodharma. The only good activity is render service without motivation to the personality of Godhead Krishna. And this is all based on a very simple, fundamental, basic principle. Ekal Ishwar Krishna Ar Savabritya. The only supreme personality is Krishna, and all others are Sabhritya. All others are his servant. We see in the Shikshastakam, as given directly from the mouth, the lotus mouth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's expressing exactly the same devotional sentiment. Nadhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhaktiraitu kitvaye. That I don't want very nice nadhanam wealth, najanam followers. I don't want nadanam nasundarim beautiful women, or these days beautiful boys or girls. What do I want? What does a person want? Mama janmani janma, that simply want your service, birth after birth. Mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatad bhaktirai tukitvaye. But somebody may raise the point, well, how does one get to that stage of having this elevated spiritual understanding? We see in the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna also explained in one place, Yesham tvantakatam papam jananam punyakarmanam. That in order to make progress in this science of devotional service, one has to become free from all sinful activities. Now, the question may be raised by some persons, well, how do we do that? That is not so easy for a person engaged in the material world. How do we do that? We engage and follow the instruction and guidance of the bona fide Acharya, the bona fide spiritual master. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text number 8, Krishna very nicely described this situation. Just trying to find the verse here. "28. It is described, Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam tedvanva mohanirmukta bhajanti mam dhridavrataha. Bhagavad-gītā 7:28. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Prabhupada explains in the purport, those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. For those who are sinful, atheistic, foolish, and deceitful, it is very difficult to transcend the duality of desire and hate. Only those who have passed their lives in practicing the regulative principles of religion, who have acted piously and have conquered sinful reactions, can accept devotional service and gradually rise to the pure knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then gradually they can meditate in trance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the process of being situated on the spiritual platform. This elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness, in the association of pure devotees who can deliver one from delusion. Now, this is a very important point. In other words, there is a systematic process of gradual elevation. Just like this month is the month of Kartik, also known as the month of Damodar. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, following the example of Sanatana Goswami and the instruction in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, we sing the Damodar Astakam. This is given in the 4th Vilas of the Hari Bhakti Vilas by a great devotee named Satyavrata Muni. It's the 8 beautiful verses in glorification of Lord Damodar. Now, sometimes the atheistic class of men, or even some religiously minded men, when they see that we worship a child that was bound up to a mortar, who was stealing butter, giving butter to the monkeys, who was breaking pots of butter, feeding the butter to the monkeys, they think that this is absolutely inconceivable, how God could behave like this. What to speak of him dancing with the gopis in the middle of the night, or stealing the gopis' garments and sitting on the top of a tree. These activities cannot be understood unless that activity has taken place as given in Bhagavad Gita. That purification must be there. But then the question will come up, well, how do we do that? How do we get to that stage? We get to that stage by taking shelter of somebody who is situated on that stage. Someone like His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, who is actually on that transcendental platform of direct personal relationship with Krishna. There was a conversation with a reporter in New York in 1976, where one senior disciple was telling Prabhupada, explaining how his intelligence was telling him how to make whatever decision. And Prabhupada interrupted, said, no, Krishna will tell them directly. The pure devotee is in direct touch with Krishna 24 hours a day. It is not a mental speculation process. It is not a mental gymnastic process. It is a direct perception. We see in the Bhagavad-gītā, this science is described as pavitram idatu idamuttamam. It is perfectly pure. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam. It is directly experienced. And we do that by submissive oral reception from a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. And that is why in the Shastras, there are many, many warnings and cautions to the practitioners of bhakti, the sadhakas, to be very careful not to imitate the topmost devotee, not to imitate the Mahabhagavata. And somebody may raise the objection, well, what's the problem with imitating? Well, the problem is given by Prabhupada himself. The danger of that is explained by Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Instruction. If one imitates a Mahabhagavata without being self-realized, eventually one will become degraded, unquote. Now, it doesn't say very quickly, very soon, immediately. No, it says eventually. Eventually may take some time, a few weeks, a few years, or a few decades sometimes. But the problem is this imitation. This is not the proper process. There is a gradual process of submissive hearing. Ado shraddha tata sadhu sango tabhajana kriya. There is a systematic process of bhakti. It is not artificial. It is not artificial. And one of the greatest hindrances is this cheap imitation. There is one lecture where Srila Prabhupada warned, he says, imitation is always bad. And then he repeated it again. He says, imitation is always bad. Just like in one lecture, Prabhupada warned, says, don't try to be a better Paramamsa than your Guru Maharaj, unquote. Prabhupada was explaining, just like I'm attending the class morning and evening, so don't miss the class. Hear Bhagavad Gita, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Why do we think Prabhupada wrote these books? In 1977, when Prabhupada was in London, one leader in the organization approached Srila Prabhupada and introduced to him various devotees that were engaged in book distribution. Prabhupada was very pleased, and they were introduced gradually. So then these devotees would say, so-and-so distributes so many books, so-and-so distributes so much. And Prabhupada raised the issue, so which ones of you have studied my books? And nobody raised their hands. Prabhupada explained that these books are not meant only for selling. They're meant for you to read, to study. Prabhupada one time complained that one of my complaints about my disciples is that they do not carefully read my books. One time Srila Prabhupada told Panditji, Prajimna Prabhu, that the disciples, my disciples, should study my books just like the lawyers study their law books. To become a good lawyer involves a lot of study, not necessarily just memorizing the whole law book, but to properly study, to learn how to detect, how to analyze, how to understand properly. Now we have professional cherry picking, computer pundits. We have so many persons, professional computer pundits, who study a book, cherry picking quotes that they want, rejecting the context, not studying properly. That is not the way to study the writings of Srila Prabhupada. For one thing, one has to practice. Just like we keep mentioning this point, in order to follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, in the bona fide sampradaya of Lord Chaitanya, one has to chant the mantras and songs that Prabhupada has given. One cannot manufacture or invent his own ways of singing, his own ways of glorification, his own ways of chanting. That is not the process. Sampradaya vihinaye mantraste nishvalamataha. In the Prema Ratnavali of Baladevi Bhushana, he describes that unless one hears his mantra in bona fide disciplic succession, it will be nishpala, unauthorized. No, it will be useless. No fruit, fruitless. Now, I've often gone on these talks and discuss how many of these mantras which are being songs were not given by Srila Prabhupada. Somebody may object, well, Prabhupada said to glorify Radharani. Yes, Prabhupada said a lot of things. Glorify Krishna, glorify Radharani. There's thousands, there's millions of songs. But one has to do it according to the authorized direction of the bona fide Acharya Srila Prabhupada. If one invents or manufactures his own way, it's not likely to be very successful. And that is why devotees sometimes become bewildered. They become confused. They reach improper conclusion. They do not get the facts straight. It's like generally, you don't walk into a court of law like a madman and start accusing somebody. You have to file things in a certain way. And generally, to be successful, you've got to get the facts straight. You have to understand things as they are. That's why sometimes there will be so many days and days of arguments presented to correctly ascertain what is exactly the situation. That is why Prabhupada has given these books, just like yesterday. Our good friend in Italy, Vijay Pandit Prabhu, was doing some work on it's a little booklet, a little article that was compiled by Narasimha Prabhu and myself regarding the position, the unique historical position of Srila Prabhupada. So we discovered that some of the quotes that were in that book were not perfectly accurate. They were taken some way or other, infiltrated from some of the adulterated books, some of the non-authorized edited version of the books. And I said, well, we'll have to go quote by quote, analyze all the quotes, verify all the quotes, look at the original edition, and correct it. That's what Prabhupada would expect us to do. But some people will object. They will object. Say, oh, Prabhupada said we should edit these books, we should do this, we should do that. That's okay. Prabhupada made a lot of statements. We also have to see the latest statement that was given when Prabhupada says they cannot change anything. A person doesn't have to be a PhD in English grammar to understand the meaning of that. It's pretty simple. When Prabhupada said the next printing again should be the original way, that is not too difficult to understand. But some people have a very hard time understanding because of the mental speculation problem. Mental speculation problem. In 1970 in July, when I came to Los Angeles, one devotee told me a story how one devotee was asked by Srila Prabhupada, what time is it? And the devotee replied to Srila Prabhupada, oh, I don't know what time it is, Prabhupada, I'm in bliss. Prabhupada said, you're not in bliss, you're in complete Maya. And the devotee was shocked. And Prabhupada said, to be a devotee means to be conscious of everything spiritually and materially. You have to know where you are, what time it is, what are you doing? So as devotees, in order to progress in spiritual life, people cannot manufacture their own mantras, manufacture their own interpretation of what they think Prabhupada was thinking when he was dictating his books. That is not the proper way. We have to accept the instruction. If Prabhupada is given a later instruction, that supersedes any earlier instruction. But some people think they know better. like the mental speculator who thought that he was in bliss. Another time, devotees approached Srila Prabhupada and they showed him a picture of him being very grave. As we know, there's many pictures of Srila Prabhupada being very grave, very serious, very stoic. So they asked Prabhupada why he looked so sad. And Prabhupada replied, oh, no, that is not a picture of sadness. That was a moment of ecstasy. So we cannot speculate on the mind of the spiritual master. We have to submissively hear what he says and follow what he says. So all those people out there that have manufactured all these nonsense mantras, think again. They were not authorized. They're not authorized. They never will be authorized. Stop the nonsense. You think you're following Prabhupada? Stop concocting these nonsense mantras. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for those insights in today's reading from the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. And further, under illusion, we consider this life to be valuable, very valuable, but without Krishna consciousness, Dr. Joe Felice, it's simply a prison house. And you can live here in this prison house. You can be, Prabhupada uses the example of a first class, second class, or third class prisoner. But is there really any difference when you're in the prison house, Vijay Pandit? Is there? You're in the prison house. So this material body is a place of misery. This is the prison house. It's also called, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, the city of 9 gates. And we're residing in this city. And we are experiencing happiness and distress, ongoing day after day. So it is simply a prison house. And matra sparsas tokonteya sitoshna sukaduka da agama paino nichas tamstatik shashva bharata. The non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of the summer and winter seasons. They arise, Krishna says, only due to sense perception, and one should tolerate them, tamstatikshashva bharata, without being disturbed. Tolerant, because we are not this body. Now, I wanted to go back to this purport, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for a minute, because I thought it was very profound. And just a point, when you were talking about the reading of the books thoroughly, not only are the books meant to be studied thoroughly, but by reading them, they're ever fresh. Ever fresh. In fact, when I speak to my friend, my godbrother here in Hamilton, Joe Felice, we discuss how every time you read the books, even if you read one purport, if you go back again and read it again, you get brand new insights every time you read it. It's not that you read a purport. Sometimes you can listen even to Prabhupada speaking, his lectures. You can listen to the same lecture over and over and over again, and it always sounds ever fresh. Like, how did I miss those points? This is the nature of transcendental sound. It's called dynamic. It's not static like material sound vibration, like hearing musical songs over and over again. You hear them and eventually go, okay, that's enough of that. It's static. But transcendental knowledge from the bona fide spiritual master. This is a very significant thing. From the bona fide spiritual master is infused with transcendental power. Very significant. And as we all as a group working together to develop our Krishna consciousness continue to hear this philosophy, it becomes ever fresh. That's the amazing part of this. So I wanted to read just quickly here 495 of Venkat Bhatta, this text 3, the purport. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by the material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction. Mental concoction, because there's nothing. Vijaya Pandit, there's nothing auspicious in the material world. Nothing. Why? Because it is a prison house. Everything is inauspicious because the very material mask is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Deep. Real auspiciousness depends on activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. That's the only reality. Therefore, if we at all want our, thank you, activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because, everyone, the spiritual master A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, His Divine Grace, is the representative of the Supreme Lord. His direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The transparent Prabhus, the transparent via media of God. So fortunate that we have that opportunity with this group to hear directly from the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, in his Vani incarnation. The spiritual master, saintly persons, and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. So this ever fresh information that we're discussing today is the shelter of the real devotees of Krishna. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please. And then after that, we're going to have Dr. Ram Raghava, Paranjana, Dharma Bhavana, and Janas Priya make further comments. Thank you.
Right, I'll try to keep it brief here. I just want to read a few paragraphs from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada on the same Bhagavad Gita verse in New York on January 2nd, 1967. Bhagavad Gita 10.3, New York, January 2nd, 1967. Srila Prabhupada. Yo mama jamanadim cha vittilo kamaheshwaram asammudah samartyeshu sarva pape pramuchyati. Now here is nice formula presented by Krishna himself, that one should understand the position of Krishna. What was the position of Krishna? Ajam, unborn, and anadi, without any cause. Everyone, we've got experience that we are born and we have our cause. The Father is the cause of our birth. This is the distinction between myself and Krishna. Now, if somebody poses himself that he's God, he has to prove himself that he's unborn and that he is not caused. This is very simple thing. Our practical experience is that I'm born and I'm caused because the father and mother is the cause. So Krishna is not caused, neither is he born. So one has to understand this. Understanding of God or Krishna is that one should be firmly convinced that God is never born, nor is he caused by anything. He is the cause of all causes, but he is not caused by anything. This is the difference. Yo mama jamanadim cha vetti, knows, one should know, loka maheshwaram. And because he is not caused, therefore he is the proprietor of all manifestations. He is the proprietor. Asammudaha. Asammudaha means one who understands this simple philosophy is not illusioned. Every one of us is illusion. This is illusion. Just like we are claiming this land as our land, we are Americans, this is our land, I'm Indian, or India is my land. This is illusion. So practically we see that how I become the owner of this land. Before my birth, the land was there, and after my death, the land will be there. And I do not know where I am going to take my birth. So how many times after repeated birth and death, I shall go on claiming, this is my country, this is my home, and again leave it and go another place. This is my country, this is my home. Is it not nonsense? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Is it not nonsense? Just see, Prabhu, how disturbed people are due to nationalism. They think that this is my country and I have to fight and kill others to protect it. Nowadays, there's so much tragedy taking place in the material world. Of course, this has been going on for time immemorial on this planet, people killing each other. The human being, everyone, is the most degraded species. It can be the most elevated, and it can be the most degraded species. And we can see that, everyone, in every situation that's coming up in the news these days. Like it's a very unfortunate situation due to bad karma. People committing sins, killing the baby in the womb, killing the baby calf, killing Mother Nature. Everyone is engaged in this killing process. And it's killing the soul. And it's killing the society that we live in. It's just been going on. I mean, myself and Yaśodā joined during the Vietnam War. That's how long it's been going on. This Vietnam War was complete insanity. Imperialism, nationalism, destroying everyone because of illusion, complete spiritual and material suicide. And we've got some wonderful devotees with us, God brothers actually, today, that have joined the class, and they do on a regular basis. And I'd like Dr. Ram Raghava to please share his realizations with our group this morning at the Bhagavad-gītā discussion. Dr. Ram Raghava, and he's in the kitchen rolling chapati. Is it, or am I seeing things?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu's, my obeisances to everyone. Yes, we heard your comment earlier that we're probably in the kitchen, and we're getting ready for a program later today. But
yeah.
Obeisances to everyone. Thank you very much. I really don't feel like I have anything to say today. Plus also I didn't get up on time this morning, so I'm not really qualified to say something. I try to follow the rule that if I'm not following myself, I have to make sure I get up on time in the morning before I can say something. So thank you very much.
Prabhu, you're so humble, and remember, you're the Lord of your own world, and you're a very sincere devotee, and thank you very much. Paranjana, Tim Lee, one of the most famous devotees, or for the ISKCON people, infamous. Can you share some thoughts today? Haribol, glories to Prabhupada.
Jai Hare. So I just wanted to mention today that we always have to focus on the conclusion of everything, including the conclusion of our life, what happens when we leave this life. So we get very entangled in all the affairs of this world, which is natural. We're conditioned beings, so we think about the news, we think about the devotees, we think about the crazy things that are going on in the material world and in the devotee world. But I was just meditating a little bit on Bhishma Dev and what he was saying, as he was leaving. And he was saying the most important thing is to focus on the lotus eyes of the Lord. And that's the sum and substance of life. So all these other things won't be important at that time when we're leaving our body. The only thing that's important then is, are you focusing on the lotus eyes of the Lord? So I want to read just a little bit about the passing of Bhishma.
What section is it, Prabhu? So maybe
This is
our production manager can
this
take
is
care of
the
it.
first canto, chapter 9, text 30.
Okay.
This is
Thank you.
this is the original Bhagavatam.
Yeah, that's what we have.
The
Don't
old
worry.
school one.
Yeah, we have it.
So we're talking about Bhishma. Thereupon, the man who was speaking on different subjects with thousands of meanings, or the man who fought in thousands of battlefields, protecting thousands of men, stopped speaking and, being completely free from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed up his wide eyes on the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, who is four-handed and is now standing before him, decorated with yellow dress with glittering shine. Purport. In the momentous hour of leaving this material body, the glorious example set by Bhishma Dev is the important function of the human form of life. The subject matter which attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. If therefore one is absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, he is sure to go back to Godhead without any doubt. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-gītā, Bhagavad-gītā 8:5-15. It is said there as follows: one who quits his material body by remembering me, he attains transcendental nature after his death. In other words, such a good soul becomes as much liberated as the Lord is freed from all material conditions. Because anyone who may quit his material body, thinking of something subjective at the time of death, attains to such stage of life after death. It was therefore instructed to Arjuna that he should go on with the business of fighting, which is his occupational duty, but at the same time remember the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. By such constant remembrance by the devotee, he attains perfect devotional stage for controlling the mind, not being engaged in any subjective occupation besides the thoughts of the Lord. By such practice only, the mind becomes trained up in the matter of being fixed up at the lotus feet of the Lord, and he attains to the transcendental stage of not being attracted anymore by the temporary material attraction. Subject matter of meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that he is sentient, eternal, controller, finer than the finest, master of all living beings, beyond the conception of the material sense perception. The Supreme Being, enjoyer, and medium size, and yet because he is self-effulgent, he is transcendental to everything materially conceived. At the time of death, one can fix up his attention between the eyebrows by dint of previous practice of yoga, bhakti yoga, and thus attain the highest perfection of life by going back to God, Head, the Supreme Personality. Sri Bhishmadeva attained the perfection of quitting his body at his will and was fortunate enough to have Lord Krishna, the object of his attention, personally present at the time of death. He therefore fixed his wide open eyes upon him. He wanted to see Sri Krishna for a long time out of his spontaneous love for him. Because he was a pure devotee, He had very little to do with the detailed performance of yogic principles, because simply bhakti yoga is enough to bring about perfection. Therefore, the ardent desire of Bhishma Dev was to see over the person of Lord Krishna the most lovable object, and by the grace of the Lord, Sri Bhishma Dev had the full opportunity at the last stage of his breathing. Haribol.
Yes, this is the essence of our philosophy, is to remember Krishna and prepare for leaving the body by constant practice daily of chanting the holy names and association with devotees and the pure devotee in his scriptures. Dharma Bhavana in Texas, Dallas, Texas. How are you, Prabhu? Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Could you share some insights for us for our group, our global group here at the Bhagavad Gita reading?
Hare Krishna, thank you. All glories to Prabhupada and all the devotees. Yeah, so many contributions today. But I want to wish everybody a happy Kartik month. This is month of Damodar. We remember his childhood pastimes. And just thinking how Nalakuvara and Manigriva, they were cursed, great demigods, but they were cursed by Narada Muni because of their misbehavior. And I was thinking, we're also cursed too because we're born in Kali Yuga. But at the same time, they got the greatest benediction, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, to be born in Lord Krishna's backyard. And therefore, even though there were trees for a long time, they became liberated. And I was thinking, now we have so many great advantages also. Even though it's Kali Yuga, we have the holy name, the association of devotees, and this great, wonderful mission, which it looks like we're all putting in the responsibility to restart the mission. And so many reverses are there, so many setbacks, and so many discouragements. But we should all be encouraged that Krishna is allowing us to be part of the Sankirtan movement in such a wonderful way. So that's why I appreciate these Zoom programs. They really help a lot. Thank you.
Haribol, thank you very much. Yes, that's right. We are here to revive the original mission of the Sankirtan process that Srila Prabhupada brought to the West by the understanding that Prabhupada is still present with us in sound and guiding us as we move forward. And I wanted to ask our friend in Hawaii, must be early for him, Janis Priya Prabhu in Hawaii.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada.
Can you share some realizations with us this morning, brother?
My first realization is that I'm so grateful to be able to be in this association, as always. And I wanted to comment on what Yasoda Maharaj said, that we should not invent anything. And I've seen this happen, and with even big, so-called big devotees, they think they could improve on Prabhupada's program somehow, and they somehow they have this idea that if they dilute the philosophy, then a lot of people will be attracted. So this is the wrong conclusion, because when the philosophy is diluted, then you attract the diluted type of person. And Prabhupada didn't dilute the philosophy.
Exactly.
And the devotees were going to the rainbow festivals, yes, and they were coming back with a dozen of hippies. But how many stay? It's like, we tried. So the point is that we should simply follow what Prabhupada left behind for us to. He says, you don't need to invent anything, you don't need to prove anything, simply maintain what I have given you. Mm-hmm. So we're the guardians of Prabhupada's legacy, and we have to protect this. Yes, that's all that.
On this exact point, I just want to quote from a letter of Srila Prabhupada that was given on November 5th, 1972 to Sudama Maharaj. November 5th, 1970 to Sudama Maharaj. My dear Sudama, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated October 27th, 1972, and I have noted the contents carefully. So far, the road show and this yoga village are concerned, these things should be stopped. Simply perform our kirtan. If we divert our attention in this way, the whole thing will gradually deteriorate. He's going far away. All these things are nonsense inventions. Such inventing spirit will ruin this movement. People may come to see. Some will become devotees, but such devotees will not stay because they're attracted by some show and not by the real thing or spiritual life according to the standard of Lord Chaitanya. Our standard is to have kirtan, start temples. What is this road show and yoga village? It will be another hippie edition. Gradually, the Krishna conscious idea will evaporate. Another change, every day another change. Stop all this. Simply have kirtan, nothing else. Don't manufacture ideas. Very important. Then
Yes.
the same point has been brought up by Srila Prabhupada to the same individual devotee in December of 1972, where Prabhupada talked about Krishna consciousness. So it's just very, very important that we follow in Prabhupada's example. In this letter, Prabhupada says, find out some intelligent man from schools, colleges, and being always very tolerant, try to convince them gradually to utilize their intelligence and education in the service of Krishna. And if you simply keep to our standard program, don't try to invent anything roadshow or yoga village. That means chanting daily 16 rounds, rising early, attending Mangalartik like that. If this program is strictly maintained amongst all the devotees, they will remain pure, and if preaching is pure, automatically leaders, managers, funds, everything will be given profusely by Krishna without any doubt. Very important point.
Yes, very important point. And Prabhupada Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu mentioned that many of us had a disease called the change disease, change everything. And this is going on in the current ISKCON movement, unfortunately. And I'm having a chance to look at the videos that they're putting up online. You can see them, everyone, for yourself. If you go to YouTube, you'll see the GBC latest meeting on reconciliation between ISKCON India and the GBC. And hear these people speak and make your own judgment of where these people are at. It's absolutely pretending that they're in the spiritual world. It is absolutely sad to see it. You see it for yourself. Don't take what we're saying as the fact. The facts are there for everybody to see for themselves. We're moving to the end of the program, Bhagavad-gītā class, and the reading and discussion. It's 11:27, 11:28. Vinod Bhatta in South India. Is there anything you wanted to mention from our chat? We've had a lot of interesting comments put on the chat for everyone to read along with the class. Anything you wanted to highlight for us, Vinod Bhatta?
There's some excerpt from Teachings of Queen Kunti by Hari Prasad Prabhu. So I'm not sure if you want to read that.
You could, please, for us. Read that. Yes, that'll be fine.
Any activities that are spiritual are all good, and any activities that are material are all bad. This is the difference between spiritual and material. The so-called morality and goodness of this material world is all bad. But in the spiritual world, even so-called immorality is good. This we must understand. For example, to dance with the wives of others at the dead of night is immoral. at least according to the Vedic civilization. Even today in India, a young woman will never be allowed to go to a young man at the dead of night to dance with him. But we shall find in Srimad Bhagavatam that as soon as all the gopis, the young cowherd girls of Vrindavan, heard Krishna's flute, they immediately came to dance with him. Now, according to material conceptions, this is immoral. But from the spiritual point of view, this is in accord with the greatest morality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said, Ramya Kachid Upasana Vraja Vadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. Oh, there is no better mode of worship than that which was conceived by the Vraja Vadhus, the damsels of Vrindavan. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, he very strictly avoided association with women. Even in his family life, he never played any jokes with women. He was very humorous, but only with men, not with women. Once he spoke some joking words with his wife, Vishnupriya. When Shachi Mata, Lord Chaitanya's mother, was searching for something, he jokingly said, maybe your daughter-in-law has taken it. But in his whole life, these are the only joking words we find in relation to women. He was very strict. After he accepted sannyas, the renounced order, no woman could even come near him to offer obeisances. Rather, they would offer obeisances from a distant place. Nonetheless, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. There is no conception of worship better than that which was conceived by the damsels of Vrindavan. What was their conception? They wanted to love Krishna at any risk, and this is never immoral. So that's an excerpt from the chapter, The Property of the Impoverished, from the book titled Teachings of Queen Kunti by Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful reference from Prabhupada's writings for all of us. And I want to thank everyone for joining us again today at this sadhana program. Remember, out of 168 hours in the week, we are asking our members to spend 4.5 hours a week with us in these readings and discussions on Krishna consciousness from Srila Prabhupada's books and from the realizations of his bona fide devotees, disciples, all of us, by the way, everyone. And I wanted to request before we end, if you are a technology nerd, maybe that's the wrong word, Yaśodā. If you're a technology expert, please get a hold of us. We want to publish a newsletter. We want to do other artwork for different programs that we're running. We have so many different things that we're working on to spread Krishna consciousness through the global village of the internet, which is a very potent tool. Don't minimize this. This is social media. Social media it rules the world in terms of connection. And we want to expand our connection with people globally, using these tools effectively to spread Krishna consciousness. And then when you are offline, you can go out and spread and preach to your friends and your family and your colleagues at business or work on the value of taking up spiritual life in this prison house of material existence. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll be back tomorrow with Srimad Bhagavatam class. And now we'll go to the Hare Krishna mantra, a chant with Srila Prabhupada leading. Chant along and be happy. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurata Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurata Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.